Yes, guys, welcome to Chasing Green Arrows. We are back with our Monday night slot. I'm Jamie Battici and I'm joined by Mr. Dean Jones. Dean, what news is going on in Mr. Dean Jones' world today? Any big transfer stories?
I'm just ignoring every Fulham story out there at the moment, mate. For dear life, I do not want to hear that anyone's trying to take all our best players away for like half the price that they're actually worth. Absolutely ridiculous day. But yeah, like the Saudis are causing chaos in the Prem. That's all I can say. Like, we've been doing this to other countries for years, and now we're getting a taste of our own medicine, and we don't like it at all. Yeah, it's a weird one because like most of the players that have gone to Saudi Arabia so far feel like most of them are like ready for that. You can see why they would do that. And now suddenly, like Mitrovic, that seems big, and then Mahrez today as well, which I think will probably happen. That's quite big as well. That's a big deal for Mahrez to leave Man City right now to go and play, I think it's Al Ahly. Like, that's just mad. That's absolute madness that they can manage that. So let's see how this all transpires. As we said, like weeks back, the plan is to get 50 players that are recognizable household European level players into that league. I think they've got about 21, 22 at the moment. So they're not even halfway. They're not even halfway, but I think that we've still got 6-7 weeks to go. So they're not messing about at all. Paul is saying, is Mitrovic going to Saudi? Not if I can help it, mate. Possibly, Paul. Possibly. I mean, look, he's had his head turned. Fulham want proper money for him. £33 million is not getting you Alexander Mitrovic.
No, I don't think that 33 million would get Mitrovic if he was moving within the Prem. If he's going to Saudi, you've got to think there's that Saudi tax.
Yeah, I mean, you say that. I mean, the highest deal so far was Ruben Neves for 55 million euros. So what we're looking at with Mitro is the biggest deal so far to that league. Like, I think even Fabinho, you're talking about 40 million. So like, they haven't actually paid big transfer fees. They're just
they've paid over the odds, haven't they? Fabinho would never get a 40 million move elsewhere. Neither would Neves for 50 odd.
I think Neves would have got a 50. I think Neves would have paid £45 million for Ruben Neves. Yeah, I mean, you look at like Koulibaly went for peanuts, really, at 20 million. A lot of the deals have been like 20-ish million, and like
where they're meant to be, but just huge wages, I guess. Yeah,
it's just the wages that that are massive. Thanks to everyone that's joining us. We've got over 100 in the chat straight away, man.
Nice.
Yeah,
what
lovely.
Have we done differently tonight? I love that.
So we were late.
Since the 7 p.m. slot, and we were late. Yeah. We're going to talk more on transfers later. We will make sure. I'm going to put a note from you guys in the chat. If we are not talking transfers at 19:48, with 12 minutes left of the show, you can spam us in the chat and we will move to it, because we've got unanswered questions and we will answer these questions about, from Grood's Beast, for example. He says, hi, Dean, any info on Kvaratskhelia to Newcastle? William asking about him. Obviously, we've done Mitro. We'll talk Mahrez as well. And interesting, when talking about Saudi Arabia, we'll get to it. I do wonder if players are more likely to get their head turned. If you're like, say, Mahrez and Kante, for example, they're Muslims, and I wonder if going to Saudi is maybe more appealing for them because culturally it's a better fit. Again, non-UK players that don't like the UK weather, or there's loads of boxes you can tick with moving your family overseas, and Saudi is a big pool for some players, and I guess not for others. But
100%.
Mahrez would be massive, wouldn't he? Because I know he's not peak of his career, but he's not far off it, and he's kind of playing for
some of the defenders he's going to be up against. Like, I'm going to openly say I don't watch Saudi Pro League every week, but I've seen a couple of the Ronaldo games, and Mahrez is going to treat this like Sunday league football if he's running rings around people. Like, absolute ridiculous what he's capable of doing to most of the players in that league. So yeah, the Saudi fantasy show coming soon.
Yeah, I love that. There will have to be a Saudi fantasy game, I'm sure. The league would be foolish if they didn't bring out a game. So
we need to get in touch.
The Premier League, FPL helps sell the Premier League, and Serie A fantasy is a fairly newish thing, but I think all the major leagues will be doing it. And
it would get you watching, wouldn't it? It would give you reason to watch it. That's the thing. Even what FPL does is it gets you watching teams like Bournemouth or Fulham or maybe even Brighton, to be honest. Even though like Brighton had a great season, I don't think many of us would have watched them if we didn't have their assets. Like, that's what gets you involved in the story, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly that. I wonder if there was a Saudi game, if it will be like all the local based players from last year are like 4.5 and 5, and then all 20 new signings are 10 million plus.
Gotta be.
You
Yeah,
know?
it'd be great. It'd be a good game, to be fair.
Pogba, we'll have to talk about him as well. Because again,
Yeah.
another player that Saudi could be more of a pull for Pogba than others for a
Yeah.
few obvious reasons. But look, let's get on with FPL. Hope you guys are drafting and you're drafting well. You're not going too early. Like we're softly easing our way in at chasing green arrows. We've shown you our first draft. We've done a look at a bit of a deep dive on midfielders. We'll do similar, I'm sure, with defenders and forwards. We're helping you hopefully build the perfect draft. And actually, we'll start today's show with the chaser team before we move on to reviewing some of your drafts. So you guys the chasers, have been helping us form what we are trying to put out as not necessarily the template team, but the team that has the template covered, because the template's template for a reason, it's good, but also has that little chaser element. So if we can show the chaser team, we made a couple of edits on Friday night show. So the changes we made, Trent went, and with Trent going, we're able to accommodate Chilwell. By accommodating Chilwell, we were selling Gabriel, which meant we could go triple Arsenal attack. Martinelli came in from Bomo, and then Luke Shaw came into the team as Trent left and alongside Gabriel. So at the moment, this is what we're looking at as our chaser 11. We won't make any edits this week. We won't spend too long on it this week, but do let us know in the comments or in the chat if you're watching live what you think to this team. So
yeah,
it's a bit weak in the goalkeeper positions, and we do.
I don't like the goalkeepers at all. I don't like the goalkeepers at all. I'll be amazed if we vote to end with those two as the choices.
Especially with $1 million in the bank.
Yeah, that seems really weak to me, or not weak, but just like it could be improved.
Yeah.
The actual outfield 10 that we've got there on the pitch, I think, is amazing, and an interesting twist to this Mahrez story of going to Al Ahly. I think that's it. Foden. Foden ain't going to be playing deep if they haven't signed of another attacking player by the time we get to next season. Suddenly, you're looking at Foden back in that front three alongside Haaland and Grealish. First choice, I'd imagine. I know Mahrez wasn't like a every week starter or anything at Man City last season, but suddenly, from going to like, oh, Foden might drop deeper because they've lost Gundogan and they're losing Bernardo. Well, suddenly, Man City are fighting to keep Bernardo Silva because they're losing Mahrez. And that means Foden is going to be an attacking asset suddenly for next season. So that becomes a much better pick.
Yeah. It's funny because City's selling all these players, and we'll talk about it more in the transfer section, but not being linked with too many, certainly attacking names. And you've got to think Bernardo Silva is not going to cover that right-hand midfield slot every game. And Foden, another route to the team. Foden has 4 or 5 routes to the 11. And right wing, albeit he hasn't played there a huge amount, is definitely one of them. So, the more attacking players that get sold, the better it is for his starting chances.
Yeah.
CH says we should poll for goalkeeper now, Dean. What do you reckon? Do we do a goalkeeper poll now, or do we save the chaser team?
It's what the people want. If it's what the people want.
Then. Let's go. If CH says what CH says, CH gets.
Yeah, CH was here on time today. Late the other day, but here today.
Oh yeah, we missed her for the first half an hour, didn't we?
Absolutely.
Well, are we sure we want to spend $1 million on the goalkeeper? Because it could be that we just spend 0.5 of our million. So I'm guessing we're selling Pickford and we're going to keep Areola. So we should give a few 5 million options.
Well, we'll stick Pickford. We'll stick Pickford in the poll in case people do want to keep him.
Nice.
Keep Pickford in the poll and then give 3 other options.
Okay. So help us with the options, chat. I'm going to throw one out there. Onana, when he comes into the game. Now, Onana could come in at 5, or he could come in at 5.5. We can afford him either way. Our chaser team can afford Onana even if he is 5.5. So let's pop Onana in there, because by the time we have our next show, I'm pretty sure he'll be in the game, right? Dean, we're confident on that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think by Friday he'll be there. Yep.
Okay, so Leo says Flecken at Brentford, a 4.5 option. If Raya leaves or Raya isn't playing,
risky if Raya's still there, isn't it? I don't like it at the moment.
That is risky. Rich says Leno. I'm not crazy. Ramsdale we can't have because we're covered. Okay, a few Flecken votes. So we got Onana, Flecken, and then other 5 million options that aren't Ramsdale. We could go Kepa. I like Kepa. Oh, Matthew Potter says Steele, but I'm not sure Steele's going to be starting for Brighton, because Brighton have signed. I can't pronounce his name. Verbruggen. I think he's got capped by the Netherlands. Maybe they're under 21 keeper actually, but he's got a bit of pedigree. I'm not sure Steele's a starter.
Yeah.
Martinez, great shout, Bill.
Oh yeah, no one has talked about Martinez since the end of last season.
And he's 5 million, and Villa are going to be good this season.
That is low key good.
Yeah,
I like that.
It's a great shout. Why have we not thought that? Sam's saying Martinez as well. So Bill and Sam. So we're going to go with Nana, Martinez, Flecken, and
Pickford.
I like that. Let's do it. Let's poll it. CH says Ward and Everson.
We're not going there ever again. Right, let's go. Let's start voting, people.
Who are you voting for?
Voting. I am. I do like the Martinez. I can't remember who Villa's fixtures are.
Fixtures.
Oh, hang on, we've got a Villa play here. Newcastle away, Everton home, Burnley away. Oh, it's bad. I'm voting Martinez. Like it.
Anana's
absolutely smashing it.
Okay, we'll put Anana in, but if he is priced 5.5, we might revote goalkeeper on Friday.
That's fair.
We might. I think he'll be in my team if he's 5, but if he's 5.5, he probably won't. He won't be in my team.
So you think it's going to be good for bonus, right? Because of the passes and stuff.
It's the passes, isn't it? And United still concede shots, so he has. It's not like Edison where you get clean sheets but never get save points because City don't concede shots, not really, but United do. Like De Gea has had a lot of work to do in the last even last season when they were good at the back.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of shots to save.
Yeah.
So Anana's going to be busy. And then obviously the passing, if you need to get over 30 passes to unlock some of the bonus. And you also need your percentage to be high. So you need to get a lot of passes. And you need good accuracy. And Anana's got both those things. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right. Well, let's do that then.
Derek says he's late. Derek, you've not missed a great deal. We've had a bit of chat about transfers. We're going to get back to that in half an hour's time. We've changed the Chaser team. One transfer. We're going to sell Pickford. And with our extra million, we're going to buy Nana, whether he's 5 or 5.5. I think he's going to be 5. But we will let you know on Friday's show. And we might have a few other polls. But let's move on now to reviewing some of your drafts. Now, chat, you are very important. Guys watching on Catch Up, you are very important. You are helping us review these drafts. Now, before we show you the first draft, if you want to really help out the channel, likes and subscribes are always welcome. And we're very conscious that pre-season, this is the subscribing time, right? We get loads of new eyes on the channel. So if you're new around here, hit the subscribe button and the alarm bell. And if you want to talk to your friends, WhatsApp groups, Twitter, Instagram, do check out Chasing Green Arrows on Twitter and Insta and share those messages. We always tweet or post on Insta when we're going live. So
absolutely. Yeah, even G's tweet from tonight, like just go and retweet that and it might just bring in a few people that have never watched the show before. We do want to get new eyes on this. Like you guys are always going to be our hardcore, our ultras. But we want some people to pad out the stadium. We want more viewers.
There we go. There we go. Yeah, at the moment we're filling Kenilworth Road, but we want to upscale. We want to be at the Emirates and
absolutely.
Hey Dean, what's your favourite ground in the Premier League outside of Craven Cottage? Give me a ground.
My favourite ground is actually Old Trafford because I grew up going there, didn't I? With my dad. And to be fair, look, I know right now, like it could do with some upkeep and it's not looking in great shape, but that stadium. I still feel like when you walk out at Old Trafford into there, like it hits you. There aren't many stadiums that still hit you like that. There's Old Trafford, there's Anfield. Like they're the two that stand out for me as being like, wow. Because you still have all the history attached to it. And you got nice stadiums, obviously, like Emirates is really nice. And Tottenham's new ground is amazing, like absolutely amazing in terms of like modern architecture, like great view, great experience. So if I was going to pick a modern one, it would be Tottenham. But still, United and Liverpool just have the edge because of everything that's happened there, and you can still feel it a bit.
Yeah, I completely get that. I've got a soft spot for the Emirates. I do really like the Emirates. I think because it was the first big shiny new stadium that I remember going to in England. Obviously, now it feels a little bit more out of date when you compare it to New White Hart Lane. But I tell you a stadium I love, Loftus Road. That is
Road.
Loftus Road is so. I think because I grew up watching a kids TV program, they sometimes shot there. I think was it called Renford Rejects?
Renford Rejects, it was called that.
And they often
is that where it was filmed?
There was often clips where they went to a big game and it was always at Loftus Road.
I obviously hate Loftus Road because QPR.
Did you watch the show?
Renford rejects. Of course I did.
Do you remember
Yeah.
Bruno De Gradi? And my
Yeah.
mates used to call me Bruno.
Did they?
The Italian
Amazing.
striker that always dived, and he wasn't actually Italian. And
Oh,
my mates
mate.
were always like, "You're not really Italian, are you? Like, listen to you. You're not Italian. You just wear
Yeah.
the shirts and do that with your hands."
Mate, I might have to dig that out on YouTube later. Might have to go
Classic.
back in time.
Yeah.
It'll be there.
The theme tune alone was so good. Right,
Yeah.
shall we crack on
We
with
should.
your drafts? Let's have a look as we're going to pimp your team. Here we go.
Everyone's,
Bills,
yes,
ballers.
sorry. I'm just going to say everyone's already worrying in the comments about Onana going to AFCON. Don't worry.
Let's not worry about AFCON. Like, we've got a wild card before then.
It's ages away. And actually, doesn't AFCON clash with the winter break? I've got a feeling it does.
There's a bit of an overlap, I'm sure.
There's an overlap, I'm sure, between
and there's
AFCON
a wild card
and the winter
that we
break.
have
And
to use.
it's absolutely does not matter. Don't worry, people.
We have to use our wild card before like Boxing Day or New Year's, whenever it is, anyway. And we'll probably all use it after like September or August. All right, Bills Ballers, what's your first impressions on this team? Because I'm looking at it going triple Arsenal attack. The Chasers like that. My new draft might feature that.
Mm-hmm.
But straight away, I'm looking at very few teams like double United, triple Arsenal, double Brighton, double Spurs, which might be a Spurs fan, Bill. I don't know. Don't see double Spurs much, but I think Porro at 5 million could be a great buy and a proper differential, 4% owned. Straight away, my first impressions are I really like this team. I know there's no Liverpool, but I love the team.
Yeah, no Liverpool, only one City, which find a concern just having one City for the start to the season that they've got. Son, he is a risk because we don't know what we're getting from him. Like, he's turned down a move to Saudi Arabia. He's talking a good game. He's saying, you know, I need to get knuckle down this season and make up for last season. So he's a determined player, and we know that when it comes to mentality, Son's about as strong as you can get. So he should bounce back. I personally wouldn't back him to do that from game one in a new system, new manager. Don't know if Harry Kane's going to be there or playing, whatever, for sure.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I would pick Son at 9 million. But the rest of the team, I like. I think I'd probably go a Man City asset for Son.
I think I'm with you. I would go Foden over Son, save it's a lot of money and at 1.5 saved.
Yeah.
And then you upgrade the defense. But I wouldn't be selling Shaw or Porro or a Stupinan, maybe not. So I'd probably upgrade my keeper and say Onana, and then you save $1 million in the bank.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Chat
Sport says template teams like boring.
It's not template.
It's not really template.
No,
I don't think it's template.
That's not template at all. Template would be Trent. It would be an Arsenal defender, Gabriel. It'd be or Ramsdale. There are a fair few players here around that 10% mark, like Son and Porro under it, Martinelli just over it. If you look at your team, I bet you've not got more than 3 that are around the 10% mark. So I like this team a lot.
You're never going to veer too far from that. Like, if you haven't got 5 of these outfield players, then you're probably playing it wrong. You're not being smart. You're being the opposite. But to go away from that.
I love that he's gone and Bill, by the way, has missed and rescheduled a work meeting. So Bill is one of our chasers. He is here in the chat watching live. He's hoping for a Son comeback. He said that in the chat. He says he hears you, Dean. He says Onana and Foden are a good shout. I love, Bill, that you've been super slimline. And I mentioned this the other day on your bench. Like, you don't need money on your bench, and you need guys that are going to get minutes. And Dan Burn will. Is Burn 4.5? I thought, okay. So Botman is also 4.5. So Botman's definitely the better asset because Burn could be replaced. Like, there's a very good chance. You look at Newcastle 11. Dan Burn's done great for them. But the weak link is Dan Burn when they're building this great squad. Like someone like Kieran Tierney or Cucurella, I'm sure could easily come in. So I'd sell Burn to Botman and I'd sell Son, Foden, Pickford and Onana. That's probably about it. I like it.
Yeah, nice team. Very good stuff.
So what are we rating it? How are we doing our ratings? Should we do an ABC or are we doing a rating out of 10?
We'll out of 10, I reckon. Let's do it out of 10. Yeah, rate it out of 10. I'm going for a solid 8. Yeah.
I'm going to go 9.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I'm going to see many better drafts than this tonight.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Punter's
Sets
gone
the
8.
bar high. Yeah, a lot of 8s.
Chat Sports taken back his template comment and gone for a 9 out of 10.
Well, maybe just accepting that template is the best that you can actually do.
There's a lot of 8s. Oh, Super Duper gone for a 6.5. Fair enough. I'm
Oh.
guessing Super Duper's thinking you can't go without Liverpool, but I think you can.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. A couple of 7.5, 7 from Charlie's. Not sure about Spurs. That is a good point. I mean, Spurs is probably a risk to have 2 Spurs in there. New manager, everything, so much doubt around Tottenham, but fixtures are reasonably kind, so I can see it. And if you're going to go for any, there's only 3 Spurs players you're really going to go for is Porro, Son, Kane, I guess Maddison potentially as well, maybe 4. But
what do you think of Pedro Porro's in the attacking shape team? Because Ange Postecoglou has predominantly played a 4-3-3, and we know he likes number 8s, 2 number 8s with like a deep line mid, and we know he likes wide forwards. But Porro is so good going forward. In the past, when Postecoglou has had an attacking fullback, apparently he does allow one to kind of bomb on.
He will.
And I think we'll see like someone like Ben Davis at left back being really reserved, but then at right back, I think Porro going mental. And if you've got someone like Kula or even Maddison out on the right, they drift in, and I think Porro will just be hugging that touchline. Good for assists.
Yeah, don't forget he got himself in a lot of set pieces last season as well after he joined. A lot, like even shooting chances. So there's a few when you thought Kane would have hit them, and actually Porro hit a few of them. So if he was able to get involved in it that early on, it might be the case that grows.
I'm not sure on the narrative, Charlie. I'm not sure on the narrative, Super Duper. I saw this a ton last season. The whole Martinelli is a rotation risk. Look, we love you guys. 2 of our regulars, not having a pop here. But if I agree with everything the chat always says, what's the point?
Yeah.
Martinelli ain't a rotation risk. I don't know what Arsenal team you've been watching last season. Trossard came in and got some minutes. That's because Gabriel Jesus was injured.
Yeah.
When there's injuries, Trossard has a chance of featuring the 11. When that is a fully fit squad, Trossard's nowhere near the 11, in the 9 or on the left. Martinelli is he's not as nailed as Saka, but the guy's nailed. If he's fit, he starts football matches. Now, the difference between someone like Martinelli and maybe a Saka is when the sign goes up at 70 minutes for an attacking sub because you're cruising at 2-0, it's probably Martinelli coming off over Saka. Sure, you won't always get 90 minutes from the guy, but Martinelli is absolutely a starter for Arsenal Football Club. Make no doubt about it. And that just because he might come off with 10 minutes to go occasionally, no reason not to put him in your FPL team. His numbers are crazy good, and he's a brilliant FPL asset.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason Trossard might get a bit more game time, obviously, Champions League now for Arsenal, like more risk of minutes in the legs, more risk of injury, that kind of stuff. So, look, Trossard could definitely become an option in the season, but in these early weeks, we're looking at we're looking at a 6-week team here, and in those 6 weeks,
there's no Champions League.
Exactly. Yeah, you got to be looking at Martinelli.
Yeah. So worry about champs rotation, and even then, guys, like Arsenal got a league to win. So sure, there might be some tight turnarounds of some long European nights, but most of these players can play twice a week every week. Let's move on. The Indian football coach has said it becomes a risk when Europe kicks in, and you're right. But look, the Brighton assets, I'm thinking about going triple Brighton. At the moment, I've got 2, the 2 everyone's got. But as soon as European football kicks in for Brighton, a team that aren't used to playing midweek football, that's where I am worried. I'm more worried about teams like Brighton and Villa with European commitments than I am about United. And when does Bruno or Mo Salah need a rest? They play every minute that God sends. And I'm not saying that's Martinelli, but I do think that would be someone like Saka. There we go. Let's move on. So good rating overall. I think we'll give this one an 8 in general from most of the chasers. Probably averages at an 8. I was a bit more generous. You're
very generous.
Cameron's a regular. I recognise Cam Gill.
Raheem Sterling. Have not seen a team with Raheem Sterling in it yet, and I think that could be a really nice pick. That
4%
really has
owned.
That has massive potential, Raheem Sterling. If we get the old Sterling back,
Gibbs White 4%. This is a differential team. This.
Yeah, it's nice. It's got a few different in there because he's got Leno in goal as well. So like that, this is definitely a few that have mixed it up. Mason Mount is interesting. So there's definitely 4 in that starting 11 that most people are not going to be having. So that is Yeah, that's a very, very interesting way to shake things up. And it could pay off. It really could pay off. Like Gibbs White is a very good, very underrated asset in this game, especially from the off. And you look at the form he's been in literally 2 weeks ago. Raheem Sterling, yep, could bang. Mason Mount, if he's going to break out in that midfield, if he looks to make an instant impact at United, could be great value at 7.5. Indian Football Coach said it's 2 differential.
I think I might agree. It's 1 differential
probably
player
one
too many.
Probably in that midfield. Like in that midfield, I'm not sure you need to take that risk from the start.
I'd keep Gibbs White and go Mount or Sterling.
Yeah, I think if you swap a Mount or Sterling for someone like a Foden, then at least you've covered yourself there in case Foden gets off to a flyer.
Yeah. Mate, it's so funny. 2 minutes ago, I could hear Gaia screaming in the kitchen. You guys will probably heard it. I think I apologized in the chat. And now I've literally just about picked it up in Dean's background as well. So I
just stuck it on mute just before you said that. I can hear that through my headphones. So that is the kids having a bath. That is what happens when you try and get a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old to have a bath, and I'm guessing that's the 3-year-old. I'm glad I'm down here. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I love my evening streams because I missed that bedtime where she's just had enough and wants to sleep, but she's overtired. And I hear Cam battling with her when I'm on the stream. And I'm thinking, this is a treat.
It is a treat because there's no guilt attached right now.
Yeah,
like we're working. I'm working.
Yeah.
Keeping you afloat. Come on.
Yeah, so funny, mate. Let's talk a little bit about some of these differentials then, because loads of the template players here have had the time they deserve. But let's now all and in the chat contribute. What do you think of these 3 midfielders? Because 4% owned, Gibbs White up first. He got 12 assists last season and 5 goals. His numbers suggest he should have been higher than 6 million. I expected him to be 6.5. And when you look at Forest, we know they're really good at home. They've got some good home fixtures. They've got some tough aways. They play Arsenal, United and Chelsea their first 3 away games. I think they'll probably lose all of them. But at home, Sheffield United at home is their first home. Their second home is Burnley. Their third home is Brentford. Their fourth home is Luton. Like the home fixtures Forest have are really good. The away are dreadful. After Chelsea, they play City away and Palace away and Liverpool away. So but Gibbs White feels like the sort of guy that can score against the big teams. And in the formation that we saw at the end of last season, we were seeing Forest go in with sort of split strikers fairly wide. Like we saw Awani one side and Brennan the other. And Gibbs White kind of playing as an out-and-out 10, but often sort of the pivot. Like in times, he's drifting into a 9 position. And we saw the same with England under 21s. He was playing in a front 2. This is a guy that is so close in that final third to the goal. And we really like that. And that's why his numbers were up. Now, Brennan Johnson, we'll ask Dean in the transfer section in 15 minutes' time if we think he could be sold. I think there's been interest from Brentford and a few other clubs. If Brennan Johnson leaves, Gibbs White, what does he also have? Penalties. We like that. 6 million midfielder on pens.
Yeah, that's very true. I'm just looking at the comments as people are starting to rate this team. And I like FPL Meerkat's comment. He said, I'd give it an 8. It's trying to be different, which is nice to see. And I absolutely agree, actually. Like we're still like 3-4 weeks away from the season, whenever it's 3 weeks or so, from the season starting. And none of us right now have any idea of exactly what we're going to be seeing. So it is good to have a few differentials in there and just see how pre-season starts to shape up. So, and you can tinker with things from there. Like we're not all right just because we prefer Foden to Sterling or Mount or whatever it is, Grealish or whoever. Like we're not right. We're no better off than anyone else. We're just judging it basically on what we've seen in the past. You're talking about 2 players here in Sterling and Mount that are going through new phases of their career. Mount quite literally at a new club right now, and Sterling kind of with a new club because he's gonna over the past year he's at a completely different team to the one he initially signed for at Chelsea, which was different manager, different players and all sorts. So there's a lot to get our head around here over the next few weeks. And I just liked that comment because I think we do have to be open-minded about how this plays out. Like we can predict the future. We're not normally right.
Pre-season form shouldn't matter too much either, but we should be looking at individual displays. So whilst we shouldn't worry too much about team results and team form, individual form, I guess, does matter. And if Ndombele or I don't know, Awani go and score hat tricks, then they'll all be in our teams. Like the template draft as we know it is about to get ripped up as pre-season starts. Because I promise you, there's going to be a few bandwagons from individuals and from teams that we get behind and go, they look really good. And we might see changes of shape and we might learn more about new managers. So the team we know is about to change. And the likes of Sterling and Mount and Gibbs-White could form part of that new template. You just don't know. And even if it doesn't, fair play for going a little bit rogue. And Sevi says Mount and Sterling won't score high at all, I reckon. And maybe you're right. I think there was a comment about Mount being a good addition to the Man United team, but maybe not an FPL asset. And that is my concern with Mount at United. I want to know a little bit more about what percentage of set pieces is he on? Is he sharing them with Shaw and Bruno? Or is he on 70% of them? Mount relied on set piece points at Chelsea. He got a ton of assists from set pieces. And again, I want to know about him and Bruno both play number 8. When one goes, does the other one sit? Does one always go? Is that Mount? Is that Bruno? We're yet to really understand what the shape looks like. And Sterling, again, is he playing wide left under Poch, or is he going to be a little bit more central? If they don't buy a 9, is it Nkunku up top with Sterling behind? I don't know. There's various opportunities to get in that 11 in a 4-2-3-1 for Sterling, because let's face it, Sterling has played all 4 of those front positions. I know we've seen him predominantly on the left at Man City, but at times for England, he played number 10, sort of in that... sort of behind the front man. I think we've seen him central behind Kane in one tournament. I can't remember when. We've seen him play 9. We've seen him play on the right. So again, we'll learn more about this in pre-season. What's your take on Sterling, Dean, and where he'll set up in that Chelsea front line? Because it is still a bit of a lottery, that front line.
It is a lottery. I mean, the one thing I'd say he's got over Mount is he will be in the front line. So that's why I would have him above him, because he's going to be like in the line of fire, like creating, cutting inside the box like we know he does, winning pens. His output's definitely going to go up this season. It certainly can't be like it was last season when Chelsea scored like 38 goals across the whole season. It's not going to be like that. Let's see if he's got an actual striker to aim for, what Nicholas Jackson is like, things like that as well. Like pre-season, watching that is going to be interesting for Chelsea. And again, they had a terrible pre-season last year when he was joining up with them in LA. So he's always been on the back foot since he joined Chelsea. It's a fresh start this time around. FPL Soccer Crazy says, I know it's really important game week 1. I'm probably looking to do Wildcard week 3 or 4. We haven't touched on this at all so far about like when people might be looking this season to kind of use their chips and stuff, because we're still obviously a while out from the season even starting. That seems quite early. What do you think? There's
always an international break around game week 3, 4, and it is between game week 4 and 5. But in the international break, people get twitchy because it's 2 weeks without FPL and the season just started, and they'll look at their team and go, it could be so much better. So what you tend to see is a ton of international break wildcards. I've been there myself. My planning on wildcard is simply not to have a plan this season. I'm going to be completely reactive. And you can try and spot trends like Liverpool, for example. I think from game week 6 or 5 onwards, their fixtures completely turn, and you can try and read the tickers and bookmark when you wildcard. But for me, I think that's a dangerous game to play at the start of the season, because we're going off a very little amount of form. We're going off form from last season, which can be completely irrelevant, or we're going off form from pre-season, and we're going off fixture tickers that look like they go towards one direction because you think you know which are the easy games and which are the difficult games. But I guarantee there's always so many surprises. You know, for all we know, Bournemouth might become a really tricky game because they have a flying start to the season or whatever. So I'm conscious of bookmarking in when I wildcard, but I think it'll be popular the international break. Then there'll be another popular section around game week 10. And then there's all those that wait towards kind of those winter months, because we know the fixtures around Boxing Day and around New Year's. If you wildcard just before that, you can really jump on those tight fixture turnarounds where you want players absolutely nailed when they're playing every 3-4 days. And the likes of Salah and Bruno and Saka that we spoke about earlier, the minutes monsters, you go, yeah, they're not going to miss a minute there. Whilst Martinelli, for example, and a player like that, you might think, oh, I don't really want to carry him through that winter schedule. If the schedule falls in a difficult way for his team, it doesn't always fall like that for every player, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right there. Absolutely. Somebody just asked a question of where you can actually watch pre-season games, and this is tricky this season, because a lot of clubs are taking it in-house. The other day, Arsenal, for example, were charging $6.99, I think, to watch their game. I mean, you will obviously be able to find sites that are streaming these games. Like, they're not half the time the easiest things to watch. And in the past, in pre-season, it's like, there's Premier TV and stuff like that, and they've been pretty good for pre-season. This year, it's not looking great, I have to say. Like, a lot of it is on club channels. There's a few things
Chelsea
that are
free.
on.
Chelsea are free.
Are they? Yeah. So
you've got to download the app. You've got to watch on the Chelsea Fifth Stand app, but it is free, which is cool.
That's good. So a few will be doing that. So check out all the club app of the team you want to watch, obviously. Viaplay in the UK is showing a few, I've noticed.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, they're showing a few in the build-up. I'm not sure.
I wonder if they'll show the ones in the US. What's the US tournament called?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the summer series. Yeah,
summer series, because there's 4 or 5 teams that have gone out. Like yesterday, Arsenal, Brighton, Brentford.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, Sky Sports. Sky Sports are showing the summer series. Yeah.
Oh, that's good, because that's what is that 5 or 6 of the teams? Because I think Chelsea are one of them, and maybe Arsenal. Yeah.
Yeah. So I only know because Fulham play Brentford. Yeah. And that's on Sky. So all of those matches. Yeah. So on Sunday, for example, Sunday 23rd of July, Chelsea v Brighton is on Sky. Then Fulham v Brighton is on Sky, and the next day Newcastle Villa. Like, obviously, they're being played in America, so the times are a bit weird if you're in England. The site to use that I use quite a lot anyway, but especially in pre-season, is Live Football on TV. If you go on there, choose whichever league you want to watch, and there is an unbelievable list of all the preseason games and where you can watch them. So if you go to Live Football on TV, you'll get a comprehensive list day by day of what games you'll actually be able to catch. And if it's on their app, it just tells you that too. So which clubs are showing their games on their apps.
Good tip, like that. So, okay, let's rate this team. We'll move on. We've spent longer on this team because it is unique. Like, there's a lot to talk about. I'm guessing there'll be a bit more template, but I'm going to go with a heavy heart because I want to praise it, but I think it's lacking no Brighton attack. Only 2 Arsenal. Every team should have 3 Arsenal with the fixtures they've got and the prices of their players. So I'm going to go, the Indian football coach gone 5.5, harsh. Mark's gone 6, Pun 7.5, Chatsport 7. Cameron says, thank you for showing my team. Cameron, thank you for sending it in. Yeah. And thanks for being so brave on some of the calls. I'm going to say you can't go Sterling and Mount and therefore go 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I also don't. I love Leno as a goalkeeper. I don't know that you should be picking him for the start of the season. I'm not sure what Fulham we're getting at the start of the season at the moment. Like, our team are being preyed upon in every position. I've even heard whispers that Leno's being targeted soon. So watch out for that. 7. I'm going 7.
I should just mention the bench because the Indian football coach, thanks for pointing it out. I am all for a cheap bench, but I do like one good enough sub. And when I say good enough, that could be a 4.5 million defender or someone that offers you a little bit more than a 2-pointer every week. And Baldock and Bell, I see as 2-point ceilings. I know that's not their ceiling, but most weeks. And Archer's just going to, we know he's going to be on the bench. He's my 3rd sub Archer. So I like sub 1 just to be a little bit better. If I could get a 4.5 defender as sub 1 instead of Baldock or Bell, I think that would be my recommendation. You have got the money in the bench in the bank there, Cam. So fingers crossed you can upgrade a little bit, but I do enjoy. Zach says he sent his team on Instagram. If we haven't got to your team, we've only done 2. We might bring this back if it's popular by next Monday.
Yeah, probably spent too long on them.
yeah. Let's move on. What else we got? So we've got 2 more teams to show, and then we're doing transfers. And I said by 48 we're doing transfers. So let's rattle through this. Things that stand out here. Double Spurs again. Is this another Spurs fan? Oh, Pau Torres at 4.5 is a good buy. Double Arsenal defense is different. That's differential in itself. Enciso instead of, say, a Matoma. I just worry about Enciso's minutes. But Bruno instead of Rashford as well. This is also a very differential team.
This is very different, this team.
Kane and Haaland. So it's 2 premium. That is some front line.
Yeah, it is. I really like it. I don't like James Maddison. I don't like starting the season with James Maddison. I would be changing that. The rest, you know what? I don't mind it at all. I think that this has potential to catch out everybody who's gone template.
Yeah.
And if we are all...
It's a good team.
Yeah, this could really catch people out. And even if it doesn't like pay off totally, I don't see that this team is going to misfire massively. I mean, Enciso is going to be a big talking point, I think, as we get to the start of the season, because the potential that he showed start to actually come through last season was incredible. Like this guy is a sensational footballer, and he's valued at 5.5 in a team that could do really well. And they've got Luton at home in the first game, and then Wolves away, who potentially are going to be two of the worst teams in the Premier League next season, especially at the start because of the Luton new league, blah blah blah. Wolves just absolute massive upheaval. So Enciso could be all or nothing, So I don't know which way to look at that. I really like this. I think this is really brave, but really good team selection.
Yeah, the chat is saying similar. You've gone, Matt. You've gone Bruno over Rashford. You've gone Maddison probably over, say, someone like a Saka, and Ciso over a Matoma. Double Arsenal defense is something I've not seen. Like, I'm telling everyone, you need 3 Arsenal players in your team. Now, everyone pretty much is 1 Arsenal defender, 2 Arsenal attackers. In my own draft, I'll show you guys soon, my second and only my second draft, it's going to have triple Arsenal attack. And I think that might be the way to go. I haven't seen anyone with double Arsenal defense. When you look at the fixtures, there's loads of clean sheets in there for Arsenal. I just wonder if the ceiling's not high enough for the defenders when there's potentially 4 or 5-0 wins there for the attack. Yeah. So because of Arsenal, I'm going to go from what looks like potentially a brave 9. I'm going to go to a good 8. Which I'm just putting in the chat now as well.
Yeah, so, do you know what? I'm going to give this my highest vote so far. I'm going to go 8.5 because I just like the boldness of it, the single-mindedness of it. Like, this isn't being swayed by the crowd. This isn't. There's no copycat team selection here. It's just pure instinct on how Matt thinks this team is going to go. Like, and this is how we should pick a team. If we didn't all have YouTube and Twitter. And you had to just sit down and just pick your favourite team and not worry about what everyone else might be picking right now, you'd get a team that looks a bit more like this, which is a bit more fun for the season to start. And that front 3 is brilliant. And having 2 Arsenal assets at the back who could potentially keep 3 clean sheets in those first 3 games, good picks.
Yeah, you're right. Although not having Twitter and YouTube can work against you. So yesterday, my father-in-law was round and he was like, I've just made my team. And he's all right. He knows what he's doing, but doesn't absorb any content. And I don't think I've got to worry about him watching this and seeing this. He might be offended, but he got this really good buy. I can't believe he came in. You could buy Vinicius from Fulham for 5 million. So he's in my team. And I was like, out. I mean, if Mitrovic gets sold, he's not going to start. Like, there will be a replacement number 9. But I just thought it was funny that he thought he gained an edge by finding a gem because he was only 5 million and he scored that 1 good goal against Chelsea.
1 goal. But,
right, let's move on after Matt's team. Fair play, Matt. I like this. Hope
good stuff, mate.
2 guns.
Like
and whilst I don't like double Arsenal defence, Matt, I think you should go for it. Like, there's no right and wrong here. No right and wrong at all.
Oh, so a Salah team.
Oh, and an Eze team.
Yeah, this is nice.
Calvert-Lewin. Oh, okay. I'm all for you're not injured till you're injured. So pick Reece James by all means, because you're not injured till you're injured, then you sell him. But I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin falls into a different category altogether, which is just there is no point because he ain't playing 2 games on the trot.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't pick him either. But I like a lot of this. If you're going to get Salah and Haaland in your team, obviously you've got to be expecting to take losses elsewhere, but this one doesn't feel particularly light. It's another one that's gone for Maddison, which I'm surprised about. I'd say you look across the midfielders, see no Man City players, which would concern me. There's only 1 Arsenal outfield player, which is risky with their fixtures that you got coming up.
Saka.
Just Saka. Yeah, I'd say that's this team's biggest letdown. The fact that you've got Eze, Maddison and Calvert-Lewin in the 11, and there could be an Arsenal asset in there somewhere. Like you could fit another Arsenal asset into that, whether it's Jesus or whether it's another midfielder. I think if you brought one of those in and dropped something else out, that might be a bit more functional.
It's good defensive options, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is nice defensively.
Stones we've not spoken about Stones. He's actually 20% owned, so I think people see Stones as the most reliable City defender, but also one that's out of position. Reece James, I think, is a good buy, and a Stupin and Ramsdale. I like the back line. I think it's The one Arsenal bit, as you mentioned, though, the bench is slim again. I'm really liking the chasers are taking my advice this season, because a common mistake I see is tons of money on your bench, which maybe is fine for the second half of the season when there's rotation. For the start of the season, slim line, 4.5 million defensive option as sub one is all you need. Botman is the perfect player for that. Pau Torres, you could say the same. I don't know about Eze. I think Palace are going to struggle under Roy this time round. I think they're going to resort to type and be boring. Guys, we're going to move on to transfer chat, but before we do, let's do a quick poll. Next Monday's show, should we make it a review show? Similar to today, 40 minutes of review, 20 minutes of other stuff. Let us know. We'll put a poll up if you like the idea of a review show again next Monday. And guys, loads have said, I'd love you to review my team. We will try and get through maybe 6 or... Let's go 6 next Monday. We'll pick our favourite 6, but you have to be following us on Twitter or Instagram. Maybe we just say Twitter exclusively, or maybe we say both. But send your teams in. So we will post on Twitter in the next couple of days. Comment on that post with your new screenshot of your team. So make sure you get notifications set to our FPL Twitter handle, which you can see at the top of the screen there, at CGA_FPL. And I promise you, if you set notifications, it won't be like notifications for me or Dean. You won't be getting alerts every hour. We're not overly active on Twitter chasing green arrows. So I promise you, we won't be spamming you with new tweets every 10 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. And tonight, if you can, people, by the way, retweet us on this show, just so other people can come in and have a look. It does genuinely make an impact if you guys are actively retweeting stuff and like giving this show the thumbs up, because people know that it's approved, and that helps us grow too. As I said before, like, you guys are our bread and butter. We'll always make sure that we're answering your questions, but we want more people coming to watch to keep us going.
We're back again next week, mate. By the looks of it, 90%.
Nice.
I'm up for that. Okay, let's give this team a rating. Did we give it a rating? I can't remember. Did we give it a rating?
No, but I'm going to go 7, maybe 6.5.
I'm going to go 7 as well.
It's too
7
scary
for me. Just the one Arsenal, and I think it is solid. CH is right. It's the most solid team we've seen, but it is a bit meh for me.
I just worry you're going to be left behind too early with that midfield and Calvert-Lewin.
P Macca's not on Twitter or Insta. I tell you what, P Macca, if you comment on this YouTube video with your team, we might be able to mock that up into a draft if it's one of our chosen 5. So 3 ways you can enter. You can Instagram stories us by tagging CGA on Instagram. You can comment on our Twitter post, or you can comment on the YouTube video. Not in the chat, in the comments on YouTube.
Nice.
Wicked. All right. Oh, Hakimi to replace Walker, says Mark, or Kudus to Brighton. Okay.
It's transfer stuff. Okay.
Transfer stuff. I mean, we'll do quick fire transfer stuff because there's probably about 20 good questions that have come in already.
I'm told that Hakimi is not being looked at by Man City. Kudus to Brighton. There is interest there. Man United still like Kudus. I'm still not convinced they don't go back to him if Højlund doesn't go their way. But Brighton are probably the team most likely to sign him right now. Bill, thanks for reviewing my team. No worries, mate. It was a good one. Appreciate you coming on. Right, what else we got? Rasmus Højlund, thoughts if he goes to United, and price prediction. I mean, look, I'm not convinced by the transfer at all. From what I say, I think Højlund's going to be a really good player. He is a good player. Is he what Man United need right now? I'm not convinced. I think it will take time for him to bed in. I've spoken to a couple of coaches who have watched a bit of Højlund and compared him to what they think United need. They don't think he'll be the missing piece. I don't think it's a great idea.
It's an interesting one. That it's just he's looks a little bit like Haaland. He plays a little bit like Haaland. Let's jump on him early. But this is a guy that's not been starting for. I think he only broke into the Atalanta team. Like, maybe he didn't start the season from. I'm sure he wasn't in the 11 until a few months in. So he's not even had a full season under his belt.
And it's getting out of hand. Like a 30 million, yeah. He's supposed to be your backup. 30 million is fine. They're talking about an 80 million pound footballer now. It's not that.
It's mental that. If he was in FPL, by the way, if he was signed, it'd be no more than 8. It'd probably be 7.5, 8. Like, he's not going to come in. Even if they pay 80 million for him, he ain't going to be 10 million in FPL.
No, exactly. Are Wolves going to sign Alex Scott? They've given it a go. Wolves don't really have the money to sign Alex Scott up front at the moment.
Who's
So
Alex Scott? Am I missing
Alex
something
Scott,
here?
Alex
I
Scott
know
is
Alex Scott, the female, the woman Alex Scott. Like,
he's a 19-year-old midfielder for Bristol City, who is one of the best players in the Championship, and he's being looked at by 4 or 5 teams in the Premier League. Bournemouth made a bid the other day for 15 million, rejected. Wolves have made a bid of not sure what the opening was, maybe 15 million with 5 add-ons to take it to 20, something like that. But a £20 million bid was rejected. Bristol City want £25 million done for Alex Scott. At the moment, Wolves don't really have £25 million to go and spend on one player in one go, so it's not going to be happening. Chat Sport was going down with Cancelo. Cancelo, I'm told, will still be allowed to leave Man City in this window. Obviously, it's a little bit weird now that Kyle Walker's future is up in the air as well, but last season Pep was happy for Cancelo to leave. It's very rare that Pep would go back on something like that.
I was going to say, we don't see it, do we? We don't see Pep go back, so there's no way for me.
He's moved on from it already. He'd moved on from it within weeks, and
he's missed their treble. Like, he's missed. Fancy leaving only for 6 months and missing the treble, then coming back. He ain't coming back. You don't miss that and come back.
I find it hard to believe that Cancelo will be involved. The only way I think we'll see him in the Premier League is if Arsenal sign him, and they're not sure yet.
We know Arteta likes picking up the pieces like Jesus, Zinchenko. He's worked with these guys before.
Nice signing.
It'd be amazing for FPL, but because they've signed Timber as well, you're like, oh, okay. I mean, sure, Cancelo gets in their 11 because he can play either side anywhere.
That would be unbelievable for that team to have that option as well.
It'd be unbelievable if Chelsea bloody get Caicedo, which Rise. That move we think will happen soon, I'm sure. But yeah, the formation is perfect. Poch plays a 4-2-3-1 wherever he goes. He will be playing. I think at PSG at times he tweaked. He played a bit of a 4-4-2 at times, but his formation's 4-2-3-1. The perfect partner for Enzo in a 2 is Caicedo. The perfect partner for most midfielders, you'd partner with someone like a Caicedo or a Kante if you can. And Enzo Caicedo is going to be some base of the midfield. So yeah, 4-2-3-1. Not FPL options, but solid.
Yep, absolutely. Who West Ham might say? Oh, difficult one this, because David Moyes would pick a Ward-Prowse McTominay style player. The new guy that's just come in, I can never pronounce his name, Tim Stidman, I think, something like that. He, from what I understand, is not sold on players like McTominay and James Ward-Prowse being the future of a Premier League midfield.
Zakaria, he's been linked.
That Zakaria's been linked and is more likely. Palhinha is more combative. He's more energetic. Palhinha would be an upgrade compared to those two, but obviously is also double the money of those two.
Palhinha, I put like next to Zakaria, similar style, like combative, like bit classy on the ball as well. Like for me, you've got to spend way more, and the wages of those two players is probably higher than the other two, isn't it? But let's see if West Ham want to spend that Rice money. They've got to spend more than 40 to get Palhinha.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you're talking about 60 at least. CH, how much weight do you put on balancing your team to allow for easy price point transfers? That's definitely one for you.
I don't put much weight on it at all, CH, but there are a ton of content creators, very good ones that I listen to and respect, that will tell you price points, and covering the right price points is really important because there's loads of good 6.5 million midfielder options. So you make sure you've got that price point in your team, Matoma and Bomber, whoever, in there from day one. Same with the 8 million midfield bracket. Same at 5 million defense. For me, you can get to any player you want to within 2 transfers. You can rip up your formation. You can rip up your structure in 2 simple transfers if you need to. And we always make 2 transfers if we need to. I don't love hits or we carry transfers, but we make them. So for me, price points are honestly overrated and overspoken about in the FPL community. I am not a fan of covering price points, and I don't pick players because they're in a particular price point at all. I just pick the best 15 players for my team.
Yeah, blimey, I've never even considered that. Leo, Maguire to West Ham. Look, if Maguire's going to stay in the Premier League, that's, I reckon, about the best he could hope for.
They've got a ton of centre backs, though.
They are looking to sign a centre back.
Are they? Why? Who do they like? They've got a Gerd. They've got Zuma. They've got Kate,
Well, they're all always
the
injured.
German
That's the
guy,
problem.
they do get injured a lot.
They had enough last season, but at one point they didn't have any.
They had Craig Dawson last season at some
Didn't
point.
Declan Rice end up playing centre
went to
back
Wolves,
for a couple of games last season at one point? Like
Yeah.
they were struggling. So yeah, we'll see on Maguire. They've got to figure it out. He's linked with Chelsea even today, I think.
Oh, behave! That's his agent. I can't. Don't
hope
link
so.
him with my elite football club.
Kolo Muani to Chelsea or which striker? Kolo Muani's 100 million euros.
That sounds overpriced, but he is, isn't he? That is the money that's being spoken about.
Massively overpriced, Kolo Muani. I think he's a really nice player. I still think that there should be some English ground step from Frankfurt to Chelsea or Man United. Like it just feels like Kolo Muani feels like a player that goes, I don't know, like Fulham lose Mitrovic and you sign Kolo Muani. Like no one would have even thought of that, anything of that. You know, Fulham have signed a Frankfurt striker to replace Mitrovic. Like, oh yeah, that sounds about right. You're not expecting Chelsea.
Who sometimes get in the French squad. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah,
it's crazy. The tax for number 9s. Like we spoke about United being linked with a few and the money being spoken about. The same with someone like Muani. Like imagine if he was a midfielder or a defender. Like he's at the moment he's shown to be a very good option, a good young player, an excellent young player, but not an elite young player in my opinion. Certainly not that sort of money.
Yeah.
Spurs in for any defender. Maguire. Yeah, Michael, they are.
They have looked at Maguire. I mean, they haven't gone for it, but they have looked at it. Tottenham's. I mean, this has been reported for 2 weeks now about Van de Ven and Tapsoba. That they're going after both of them at the same time. I still believe that they only sign one of those two, but some reporters believe that they could actually go for both. I'm just not convinced that they've got the outlay for that. They've been linked to a couple of others as well, like Tosin at Fulham, but there's been no offers. Yeah, but I'm not convinced by that one at all. There's been no contact so far, and I think if they wanted him, they'd have done it because he's £10 million and he wants to leave Fulham.
He's not even nailed in your 11. I mean,
mate,
I know
they can have him.
Yeah, he was like Tim Ream plus one of the other.
If they want Manor Solomon and Tosin from us, then those are the two that they could have, and we'll keep Mitro and Palhinha. That's absolutely fine.
Last one from Rory. Kvaratskhelia, and I love it. It's like, Rory, how can I write Kvaratskhelia without having to write Kvaratskhelia? Top tip, just write Kvara.
Just write Kvaradonna and you're fine.
Easy. No chance. Not with that money. They need more than 100 million to get the best player in Serie A. If Napoli want to sell Osimhen and won't sell him until they reach 200 million euros, which just simply is absurd, but no one will reach that, Kvaratskhelia is worth the same. This guy, for me, is as good a wide forward in world football as you'll find right now. Can I say that?
Yeah, you absolutely can. Yeah, I mean, you know, he's been doing it week after week in Serie A, and he's winning the league. And yeah, I mean, the talk is that if Newcastle do make the offer, then it's going to be around 90 million, which one is out of sync with what Newcastle say is actually available to them right now.
Okay.
And two, still isn't actually enough to get him. So that doesn't give me great hope for them.
Yeah. Mark, did he get player of the season? Oh, okay, sorry, I'm losing myself in another chat. Guys, I think that's all we've got time for. Thank you. We're going to be bringing back a review stream on Monday night. But before that, we're back on Friday with a normal show. We won't be reviewing your drafts on Friday, but you're going to hopefully join us. We will have a bit of time for transfer chat because it's pre-season, I'm sure. But as always, it will be predominantly FPL. You can like, you can subscribe, you can tell your friends about Chasing Green Arrows. But for now, guys, he's been Dean, I've been Janny, and we've been Chasing Green Arrows.